Okay, good evening, everyone. Tonight is the regular board meeting for the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education for Monday, June 6th, 2022. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Blundo.
Here.
Dr. Blundy. Mr. Luisi.
Here.
Mrs. Martin.
Here.
Ms. Molinelli. Mr. Stankus.
Here.
Ms. Steffens.
Here.
Mr. Weaver.
I do expect several of the members will be arriving within the next few minutes, but we have enough to get started. Please join me with a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll just let the record show that Mr. Weaver is joining us now as well. We'll be at the dais in a moment. Let's see. You're not going into... Yep, we're not going into...
You knew I smell coming from baseball.
Yeah, that's it. I put you over there.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing copies of said notice to the record, filing copies of said notice with the municipal clerks of Hillsdale, Montvale, Rivervale, and Woodcliff Lake, and publishing said notice in the record on May 18th, 2021. We have routine matters. We'll start with Superintendent.
Just real quick, you know, this morning I realized really how close we are to the end of the school year. When I looked at the calendar and I saw that it was the 6th, and I know graduation is on the 16th, I was like, well, there's not too many days left, and the seniors have a lot to do in the next few days. Each school has their senior awards, their senior prom, their senior trip, either whitewater rafting or to Pocono Valley, and then practices for graduation on the 15th and 16th, and graduation in the evening on the 16th. So it's a very exciting time for the seniors. Can't wait for it to finish up.
Okay, great. And the student reports, Hillary Siegel from Pascack Hills.
My name is Hillary Siegel, and I will be presenting the Pascack Hills High School student report for the month of June. For classroom items, Echo's Literary Magazine has been completed and is now being sold for only $10, so be sure to grab your own copy in either room 124 or room 202. This year has had amazing submissions under the theme Metamorphosis. This includes artwork, writing, and photography. The magazine is meant to showcase the creativity of Pascack Hills, and Echoes has definitely done so this year. Additionally, the Pascack Hills senior class graduation will take place on Thursday, June 16th at 6:30 p.m. As long as weather permits, the ceremony will be outside in the football field, and it will be a great way to honor all the hard work the seniors have demonstrated over the past 4 years. For co-curricular items, the Montvale Street Fair is on Sunday, June 12th, which several clubs from Pascack Hills will be running tables at. The Interact Club will have a dunk tank and rotary setup, and the Pascack Pioneers Robotics team will have a table set up to teach about STEAM. Moreover, Project Patterson just held its annual school supply drive, which helps out students in Patterson who may not be able to afford school supplies. The supplies donated include backpacks, pens, pencils, notebooks, folders, and more. Pascack Hills has always done an amazing job of coming together to give back to the community. The Paw Club is currently hosting a beach towel fundraiser for the dog shelter Southern Paws. Any beach towels that you may have, instead of throwing them out, please donate them to the animal shelter so that they can be used in the dog kennels. This shelter rescues puppies from kill shelters in the South and brings them to our area for adoption. So it really is an amazing cause. Please bring the towels to room 152 or collection box, which should be around the school. And for athletic items, for spring track, the boys 4x4 advanced to groups, and the girls 4x8 also advanced to groups and relays. Several individuals had also advanced to state groups. Congratulations to all the athletes. In academic awards, the Pascack Hills Senior Awards Night will take place this Wednesday, June 8th at 7 p.m. The PFA will be providing light refreshments prior to the ceremony, so please feel free to come and celebrate these seniors' accomplishments. For the joke of the day, why can't basketball players go on vacation?
Can't do some travel.
Travel,
Traveling?
can't travel. All right, there you go.
Finally got one.
Thank you, Hillary, and Evan?
I feel like I should
Pascack
get a
Valley?
prize. A prize today.
Good evening, everybody. This is the Pascack Valley Monthly Student Report for June. For the classroom item number 1, Pascack Valley hosted its first music gala on Tuesday, May 24th. It was a wonderful evening celebrating our graduating music students and Tri-M Honor Society members. For the second classroom item, Pascack Valley Italian students had a wonderful trip to Italy with their teacher, Mrs. Silvano, and visited their sister school in Massa, Italy. Thank you to the Board of Education and Administration for the support of this international experience. The World Language Department hopes we can continue with these types of trips in the future. For the final classroom item, Pascack Valley 11th graders will be testing for the Seal by Literacy on June 13th and June 14th. In other related world language news, Pascack Valley is planning to host a multicultural festival on Friday, October 14th. Mrs. Rodriguez has organized a planning committee. All are welcome to join. For the first co-curricular item, the Environmental Club welcomed Carissa Herb to perform a stream assessment on the section of Pascack Brook that runs across the front of Pascack Valley campus. We found evidence of both pollution sensitivity and pollution insensitivity in vertebrates, or bugs, supporting that the stream is at an average sub-minimal health. Co-curricular item number 2. This year, Team Lakota has worked closely with individuals on the Pine Ridge Reservation to create the Okini Market. PV students put together a business plan based on the needs of the market and raised funds to purchase essential items. Moreover, clothing being sold at the store was collected and shipped from Pascack Valley. The market, located in Porcupine, South Dakota, will employ individuals on the reservation and create a store, bringing employment to the region. For the final co-curricular item, PV's Theater's Spring 2021 production of Little Shop of Horrors has won 4 awards in this year's Montclair State University Theater Night Foxy Awards. Best Performance by an Actor in a Virtual Musical, Tyler Toledo. Best Editing, Tom and Morel Lupfer. Best Direction of a Virtual Musical, Tom and Morel Lupfer. Best Production of a Virtual Musical. Congratulations to everyone who is involved in creating this fun and innovative production. For the first athletic item, thank you to George White and Holdren Middle Schools for hosting the Pascack Valley coaches for a visit with the incoming freshmen. The PV coaches were able to meet with all interested current 8th graders to review the various athletic programs and to share contact information for upcoming summer training programs for many of the teams. Thank you to the principals and main offices at George White and Holdren for helping us arrange our annual visit. For the second athletic item, congratulations to PV senior baseball player Charlie Saul on being named to the Bergen County first team. This is a tremendous honor and well-deserved recognition for Charlie, our baseball coaches, and the entire team. Charlie will be honored at the county dinner on June 8th. Congrats, Charlie, on representing PV on the county level. A fun fact, the final competitions for this year's Valley Cup occurred on Friday, June 3rd at our Valley Cup Assembly. The events included a relay race, game of tag, water race around the track, and an ultimate frisbee tournament. It was a wonderful culminating Valley Cup Assembly for the entire school. Congratulations to the class of 2022 for bringing this year's Valley Cup winner. And for the joke of the day, where do Sharks go on vacation?
Finland. Yes!
2 for 2.
Wow. He was looking.
I swear to God, it wasn't looking at it that way. 'Cause I
This concludes my report to the Board of Ed for June.
Thank you, Evan.
I'm leaving, 2 for 2. That's it.
We have one agenda item for the minutes of May 23rd, both regular and executive session. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Luisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Stankus?
Yes.
Ms. Steffens?
Abstain.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Blunda?
Yes. Okay, so we have some recognition tonight, and we see a good group here, so that means we got a lot of folks to recognize. And we're going to start with 2 of our own here. Hillary and Evan, before I read the proclamation, thank you for your service this year. It's always good to have insight from boots on the ground, if you will. We talk about things in theory, and sometimes it's real good to hear and helpful to hear what's going on in the schools. Thank you for solid reports and good fun facts to keep us a little light tone. So good luck to you. You're going to be a senior, correct, Evan? And you'll be graduating, Hillary? And do you know where you're going next year? UConn. Okay, very good. Well, congratulations. So the first award is for Hillary, and it is whereas Hillary Siegel was selected by her classmates to be the Pascack Hills High School student representative to the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education, and whereas Hillary's provided input from a student's point of view to the Board of Education, and whereas Hillary has completed her term as student representative to the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education wishes Hillary Siegel continued success in her education and her pursuit of other activities. Great job, Hillary. And Evan, whereas for Evan Scalia was selected by his classmates to be the Pascack Valley High School student representative to the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education, and whereas Evan provided input from a student's point of view to the Board of Education, and whereas Evan has completed his term as student representative to the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education wishes for Evan Scalia continued success in his education and his pursuit of other activities. Thank you again. The next award, and I know we have a presenter, is for the Dwight D. Eisenhower Leadership Award. So I'm going to turn it over to our guest. We have a microphone over here. You could do that.
Can I just take one of these? Yep. That's great. Great, Mr. Blindo, members of the board, Dr. Fishbein, thanks for having me back again. My name is Stephen Kalish. I'm a resident of Washington Township, a former Army officer, and a 1982 graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Here today representing the West Point Society of New Jersey, which is an organization of graduates and friends of West Point who live in New Jersey. Every year we sponsor the Dwight D. Eisenhower Leadership Award at about 100 high schools throughout New Jersey. The purpose of the award is to recognize an exceptional high school junior who demonstrates outstanding performance in the areas of academics, athletics, community service, good citizenship, and leadership. The awardee is selected by the school principal and staff. The award includes a portfolio with a formal certificate of recognition for the student and a display plaque for the school. Pascack Valley High School has been presenting this award since 2009. This is the 14th year that I've presented this award here. I like to read the previous award winners because it puts in perspective some of the talent that the school recognizes. So the first awardee was, in 2009 was Thomas Cora. In 2010 was Kaylin Ayanada. In 11 was Deandra Donato. In 12 was Michael Menente. In 2013 was Amelia Della Pescia. In 2014, Olivia Beatty. 2015, Joseph Figueroa. 2016, Amelia Quevedo. 2017, Lauren Elizabeth Martinez. 2018, Brianna Jacobson. 2019, Olivia Jones. 2020, Sean Cuff, who's currently a cadet at West Point. And 2021, Drew Patachia. So some outstanding previous award winners. Absolutely. So this year's awardee, and I'll ask him to come forward, is Michael Chris Kulo. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about the student and why they received the award. First of all, Michael is an outstanding student athlete at Pascack Valley High School. He has over a 4.9 GPA so far, with 4 AP and 12 honors classes. He's already a member of the National Honor Society and is applying for membership in the National Science Honor Society. He's a 3-season varsity letter athlete in soccer, basketball, and baseball. He also participates in the investment and interact clubs and has volunteered with several Eagle Scout projects and helps veterans repair and build boats. In his free time, he actually works as a landscaper and is a big Rangers fan, so he must be pretty happy so far this year. So congratulations, Michael. Michael in the center. Yeah. We know how to follow instructions in the Army. Thank you. So he's not here tonight.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to try to present him at another meeting, maybe.
Okay.
Okay?
That's fine. Just let us know.
Thank you.
You don't have to take this, okay. So we have a resolution of appreciation for retiring staff. I'm going to read the names. Resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education, at the recommendation of the interim superintendent, recognize the following staff in our district who are retiring or have retired in some cases during the 2021-2022 school year. Rose Cangialosi, I don't know if, did any of them? No? Okay. Mary Lou Corbett, Janet Donahue, Claudia Gibbs, Hazel Holcomb, Eileen Leno, Marie Lombardi, Stephanie Mendelson, and Martin Shields. We want to thank them for their time at Pascack Valley. Before we clap, I'm gonna call out, all of these people supported the school district. Two supported us as a board, very, very detailed. Rose and also Claudia Gibbs was absolutely a rock for our previous superintendent, Eric Gunderson, and really helped make that office run. And on a personal note, I want to acknowledge her. All these folks deserve the acknowledgement, but Claudia really helped make the board run as smooth as it could. So thank you to all of them. Congratulations. Okay. Okay, we have awards for the Outstanding Support Staff Member. The first one is the staff member from the district office. Whereas the Pascack Valley Regional High School District has commissioned a committee within the district to establish a selection process to choose a support staff member of the year to be recognized for the district offices at each high school. And whereas the nominating committee has selected Washington Willie Pico for distinguishing himself through exceptional contributions in his work efforts to the district. And now therefore it be resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2021-2022 Outstanding Support Staff Member of the Year for district offices, Washington Pico, District Network Manager. Next, we're going to recognize the Outstanding Support Staff Member from Pascack Hills High School. Whereas the Pascack Valley Regional High School District has commissioned a committee within the district to establish a selection process to choose a support staff member of the year to be recognized for the district offices and at each high school. And whereas the nominating committee has selected Marnie Rosen for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions in her work efforts to the district. And now therefore it be resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2021-2022 Outstanding Support Staff Member of the Year for Pascack Hills High School, Marnie Rosen, Teacher Assistant for the Special Services Department. And for Pascack Valley, whereas the Pascack Valley Regional High School District has commissioned a committee within the district to establish a selection process to choose a support staff member of the year to be recognized for the district offices and each high school. And whereas the nominating committee has selected Marie Lombardi for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions in her work efforts to the district. And now therefore it be resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Ed recognize the nomination of the 2021-2022 Outstanding Support Staff Member of the Year for Pascack Valley High School, Marie Lombardi, Executive Secretary for the Guidance Department. Okay. Teacher of the Year for Pascack Hills. Whereas the Bergen County Teacher Educational Service Professionals Recognition Program, jointly sponsored by the Bergen County Association of School Administrators and the Bergen County Education Association, has established a selection process for the Bergen County Teacher Recognition Program in our district. Whereas the nominating committee has selected James Saltman for distinguishing himself through exceptional contributions to his students. Now therefore it be resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2021-2022 Teacher of the Year at Pascack Hills High School, James Saltman, Science Teacher. Teacher of the Year for Pascack Valley. Whereas the Bergen County Teacher Educational Service Professionals Recognition Program, jointly sponsored by the Bergen County Association of School Administrators and the Bergen County Education Association, has established a selection process for the Bergen County Teacher Recognition Program in our district. Whereas the nominating committee has selected Doralee Lee Drago for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions to her students. Now therefore it be resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2021-2022 Teacher of the Year at Pascack Valley High School, Doralee Lee Drago, World Language. Okay. Next is the 2021-2022 Educational Services Professional of the Year for Pascack Hills High School. Whereas the Bergen County Teacher and Educational Service Professionals Recognition Program, jointly sponsored by the Bergen County Association of School Administrators and the Bergen County Education Association, has established a selection process for the Bergen County Teacher Recognition Program in our district. And whereas the nominating committee has selected Brittany Poonam for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions to her students, and now therefore it be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Ed recognize the nomination of the 2021-22 Educational Services Professional of the Year at Pascack Hills High School, Brittany Poonam, school psychologist. And last but certainly not least, for 2021-22 Educational Service Professional of the Year at Pascack Valley High School, whereas the Bergen County Teacher Educational Service Professionals Recognition Program, jointly sponsored by the Bergen County Association of School Administrators and the Bergen County Education Association, has established a selection process for the Bergen County Teacher Recognition Program in our district. And whereas the nominating committee has selected Diane Fallon for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions to her students. Now therefore it be resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2021-2022 Educational Services Professional of the Year at Pascack Valley Regional High School, Diane Fallon, school nurse. So folks, you're absolutely welcome to stay. I know some may have other obligations. Our next agenda item will be the climate survey report by Dr. Mark Russo, but if you want to leave, we'll take 2 minutes so people can leave. If not, we'll resume. Russo, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to the Board of Education and Dr. Fishbein for having us. My name is Mark Russo, and I'm very grateful to be here with 4 students, Tolu Bosede, Amanda Poliniak of Pascack Valley, and Katie Verde and Lily Kleckner of Pascack Hills, to discuss some of the key findings of the school climate survey, as well as some recommendations students intend to make to school administration. As I mentioned at the March 28 board meeting, we've implemented a pilot school climate survey that was developed through a collaboration between Rutgers University and the New Jersey Department of Education. The New Jersey School Climate Improvement Survey was designed to help schools obtain multiple perspectives on aspects of school climate, with the goal of helping us better understand strengths and needs in our schools. The survey was administered to staff the week of April 4th, students the week of April 11th during phys ed class, and parents and caregivers the weeks of April 11th and 18th. Parents and caregivers had the opportunity to opt their students out, and all surveys were completely anonymous and completely voluntary. 1,445 students, 165 staff, and 311 parents or caregivers participated in the survey this year. Please note that for students, we had 78% participation as compared to 68% last year. The New Jersey School Climate Improvement Survey contained 13 domains, as you can see up here, 8 for all stakeholders, which you can see on the right, 1 for just staff and parents, caregivers, 1 for just students, and then 3 domains for staff. The survey enabled us to determine stakeholders' perceptions of each of these domains, as well as individual questions that contribute to each domain, both in the aggregate, by school, and by subgroup. This is an example of how domain data can be disaggregated by one of our subgroups, which in this case is grade. Additionally, the survey platform enabled us to compare stakeholder group perceptions across domains and questions. This is an example of how some of the domains can be compared across stakeholder groups, students, staff, and parents, caregivers. In order to better understand the survey results, which were quite dense, we formed 2 school climate teams, one at Hills and one at Valley, made up of students, faculty, and administrators. A total of 48 students and staff participated in at least one of 14 meetings, 7 in each building, where we reviewed student, staff, and parent caregiver data for relative strengths and weaknesses. Our intention for this evening is to briefly share some of the major takeaways from these data and for students to share some proposed recommendations and next steps. In aggregate, to start, all 3 stakeholder groups in both buildings registered more favorable designations in all 13 of these domains. In addition to that positive finding, here are 3 examples of individual questions that were quite strong at both schools. So the first point you can see there indicates that for stakeholders who completed the survey, Many participate in extracurriculars or acknowledge that there are opportunities to do so. The second point indicates that survey participants mostly agree that there are high expectations in both buildings, that students work hard. And the third point indicates that most parents or caregivers who completed the survey feel welcomed and respected, and that that respect is reciprocated. In addition to these areas of strength, there are areas of relative weakness that require further attention. So the first point you can see here, students have different perceptions around school culture and climate, and these perceptions differ by race and gender. To go into a bit more detail, students identifying as male have more positive impressions in every domain. Students identifying as non-binary, transgender, or I use a different word, had the least favorable impressions in almost every domain in both schools. Similarly, students identifying as white had more positive impressions in 15 out of the 18 domains, compared with students identifying as American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander. This has been a focus over the past several years and was evident in past school climate surveys, and this will continue to be a focus moving forward. Number two, stakeholders have differing perceptions on certain areas of school culture and climate. This is a finding that this new school climate improvement survey enabled us to consider more specifically than past school climate surveys had enabled us to do. To go into just a bit more detail, staff had a higher perception of school culture and climate than students in 7 of 8 shared domains. Just as one example, a question reading, adults get to know students. Adults felt more positively about that question than students did. 3 additional differences, just briefly. For academic culture and classroom practices, that's one of the domains. Parents registered the most favorable opinion, students the lowest. Family and community engagement, teachers rated that higher than parents and caregivers did. And student voice, staff ranked that higher than parents and students. So all of these are issues that we intend to dive into. The third point, social and emotional learning, this was one of the domains, was the only domain in the bottom 3 for all 3 stakeholder groups in both buildings. So the domain social and emotional learning is described as school-wide and instructional practices that promote development of students' social and emotional skills and supports, and availability of resources to help parents and caregivers talk to their children about emotions. All 3 stakeholder groups felt that this was an area in need of focus at Hills and Valley. Just another couple brief points. Interestingly, the domain negative interpersonal behaviors, and that's questions like students pick on other students because, that was in the bottom 3, so least favorable for parents and staff, but not for students. Pro-social behaviors, which is a different domain, and that's things like students are kind, students include others, students can resolve problems. That was in the bottom 3 for students, but not for staff or parents, caregivers. So again, these are issues that, just sharing sort of the 10,000-foot view now, but we intend to dive into them and try and understand them better moving forward. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Katie and Lily from Pascack Hills, who will be sharing some of the recommendations they will be making to Hills.
Good evening. My name is Lily Kleckner. I'm a sophomore and I'm a member of the Hills Climate Team.
Hello, my name is Katie Verdi. I'm a sophomore and I'm also a member of the school climate team. Based on the data we received from the survey, we decided to divide our recommendations into 2 separate categories: diversity and social and emotional learning. There were lower scores for women, non-binary people, transgender people, people who use a different word to describe their gender, and people of ethnicities other than white. We want groups who did not score as high on the survey to feel like they are accepted at Hills. This would decrease bullying and increase student sense of belonging.
In the student survey, 51% of students disagreed that teachers teach about people like them. Since there is a diverse student population at Pascack Hills, We believe representation of marginalized groups is important. The data also shows that students do not feel like they have a voice or a choice in the material they are learning. 62% of students disagree that teachers teach about topics they like, and 81% disagree that their teachers let them pick from different types of assignments. One recommendation would be to look at opportunities for student choice across the curriculum.
Another opportunity to celebrate the differences of students at our school is the promotion of safe spaces. We want to encourage equity and acceptance in the classroom in ways such as hanging posters promoting these messages and having conversations about acts of inequality in connection with current events. We also have the recommendation of including visual representation throughout the building. Our clubs have made these for Black History Month, Women's History Month, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and Pride Month, and our students use the hallways to celebrate these marginalized groups. We feel this makes the building more welcoming to the groups of students who did not score as high on the survey.
Social and emotional learning was the second lowest scoring domain for students. We believe that supportive staff-student relationships play an important role in SEL, so we would like to emphasize forming connections with teachers beyond academics. 38% of students disagree that adults in our school want to get to know them. Likewise, students in our climate team agreed that the initial teacher efforts of sending a survey with personal questions was helpful in building a personal connection. However, as the year progressed, our team members felt teachers did not follow through with this effort. The statistics also showed that about half of the student body does not feel comfortable speaking to a staff member about a non-school related issue.
In the survey, there were 3 similar prompts that caught our attention. 41% of students disagreed that in school, we learned ways to resolve problems with others. 45% of students disagreed that in school, we learned what to do when we feel stress. And 46% of students disagreed that in school, we learned ways to show our feelings. We have 2 recommendations for these areas of concern. First, encouraging and training staff to teach students to support each other, how to disagree respectfully, and incorporate current events beyond the set curriculum.
Our second recommendation is to incorporate an advisory or a homeroom into students' schedules, which would provide an outlet for relationships to form between students and staff. The goal of an advisory or homeroom would be to provide a safe space for students to speak about issues not related to the curriculum. Thank you.
Julie and Katie, thank you so much. And Tolu and Amanda to share some recommendations from PV.
Hi, I'm Amanda Poliniak, and I'm a sophomore from Valley on the school climate team.
I'm Tolu Basetta, and I'm also a sophomore on the school climate team. So while talking on the school committee, one of our goals we've had was to improve staff's ability to handle special ed and disabled students and sensitive conflicts in the classroom. So one of the things we recommend is more training for teachers to understand difficult situations and support for special ed teachers. Something a lot of teachers brought up in conversations we've had is that they don't feel well equipped to handle all situations that their students bring about in class, and they don't feel equipped to handle every conflict that happens. So we recommend anti-bullying and inclusivity workshops, which help teachers learn ways to promote diversity in the classroom and find ways to incorporate different perspectives and cultures in daily lessons. We also recommend restorative justice in cases of discipline. Oftentimes disciplinary actions aren't always black and white, so there's fault in both parties. So restorative justice is basically where you have a conversation with both parties involved in what they did wrong and how they could resolve the problems at hand. Because of restorative justice, we find that better ways for students to communicate with staff, because staff are telling them what exactly they did wrong and why, and how they can fix it to better the situation in their relationship with other students.
Another one of our main categories we talked about was a sense of community / social emotional learning. We recommend that there's a creation of a space that could be an advisory period or in a different form, where teachers and students have the opportunity to build relationships and trust in a non-classroom setting. During this time, we could also include activities that promote a sense of belonging. This would help build a culture where everyone feels accepted and that they have someone they can go to if they need it. Additionally, we recommend a clear promotion of the student resources available, including wellness and guidance. And we recommend that at the beginning of the school year especially, it is well known to all students and parents that these resources are available. And finally, we recommend that we empower students to speak up. And this could be by having a specific and well-known place that students can report racist or hateful speech. Or also we recommend we could create a group of peer leaders who can help slowly change the culture of the school in a positive way. Thank you.
Thank Tolu, Amanda, Katie, and Lily for their service, all the time they put into this, and all the members of the school climate teams, students, and staff. I'd like just to close by sharing the Pascack Valley Regional Equity Vision Statement, which provides a focus for our ongoing culture and climate work. Hills and Valley are both amazing places with amazing, unique, and talented students and staff. And my hope is that some of these recommendations we just heard will help all of our students and groups of students flourish and thrive. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Russo, and to our presenters. Just let everybody get settled down. We are going to open to the public at this time. Citizens are invited to make comments regarding agenda items only, with a limit of 3 minutes according to our policy. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, sign in, state their name, town of residence, and which agenda item they are referencing. We are open to the public. No, you. That's all right.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Cohen. I'm a senior at Pascack Hills, and I wanted to talk about the climate survey recommendations, talking about including diversity within the education. I believe it is now law in New Jersey to teach LGBTQ+ history within the classroom, at least on the high school level. And I can tell you, I'm in AP World History, and I did not learn anything about LGBTQIA+ history whatsoever. So I feel like if we incorporate more topics about those subjects, especially with race, gender, sexuality, nationality, everything like that, it would make a more enriched environment for the classroom instead of just teaching the same things we've been learning every 4 years and incorporating new ideas into the classroom, so making more identities be seen and heard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We are still open to the public on agenda items. Seeing no additional hands, we'll close to the public. We have 7 consent agenda items under policy. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Joe, I'm sorry, real quick. Do we have a chance to talk about the presentation, or is that later?
Oh, we can. Well, let's vote on this and then we'll go back
Got it,
to
okay,
that.
I just
Thank
wasn't
you.
sure. Thank you.
Okay, sure, certainly. So we have a motion and a second, no additional comments on the policy items. Roll call, please.
Dr. Blundy,
Yes.
Mr. Luisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Abstain.
Mr. Weaver,
Abstain?
Mr. Blundo?
Yes. Okay, we are going to allow the board to make any comments on the presentation by Dr. Russo. Ms. Blundy, do you have, Dr. Blundy, do you have?
Yeah, I just want to, I thought that was a really, really good presentation, so thank you, Dr. Russo, and all the students that presented. Any of you that know me know that wellness is very near and dear to my heart, and for when I became on the board, you know, this was something that I could see becoming. I'm not surprised, unfortunately, to see that social and emotional learning was at the bottom. To me, that's mental health. I had, you know, I know there were a lot of touchy subject that took our focus away from this, and it's really unfortunate because now we can see the end product of that. I wrote down a few things. I think that I would love to meet with all of you. I would love to come to a meeting because I would love to get a little bit more direction and information on specific details. I think of things like coping skills, conflict resolution, trauma resolution. How do we, you know, take something that affected us and work through it in a way where we can become stronger from it and make better decisions from it. Maybe we have classes on how to get out of your comfort zone. You know, I moved to 2 middle schools when I was a kid. I didn't like that, but there was a portion of that, I'm not saying that that has to happen, that made me handle different skills better. Nutrition for the brain. I could keep you guys here all night. I won't do that. But how food, being on these devices, affects our brain and our decision making. Culture day. You know, learning about what more what we could do besides posters and those things that are great to really work on all aspects of that. So I really enjoyed this presentation. It obviously breaks my heart to see those numbers, but I would, Dr. Russo, I don't know if I'm allowed to come, but I would really love to be, there you are, more involved in this as it's incredibly important, not just for any age, but just every aspect of how we go out into the working community, college life, family world. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Sorry I didn't give you that opportunity. Good job.
I have a quick question, just to go back to that. These domain areas for SEL, was that comparative to the other domains, or was that independent?
In terms of ranking them as the lowest,
Right.
like one of the lowest compared to the other domains, that's right. So
Okay.
all domains were more favorable than not, but of those domains, SEL was one of the lowest. Yeah.
So it's important to realize that they were more favorable, correct?
It's a relative
But,
weakness.
right, it's a relative weakness. Okay, all right.
Good. Is anyone else on the board? Mike?
I appreciate the information. It's very well presented, so thank you. Having the information and the data is important. I agree with everything that Dr. Blundy had shared, so thank you for those comments. I know that work is happening in the schools with administration and the students, but I don't know if we as a board have done the necessary work in this area over the past year. I mentioned this a few meetings ago. I don't know if our equity committee has met in the past calendar year, going back to last summer. We've talked about some of the things that were highlighted and outlined here, specific to gender, and we've sat on that. So at what point do we take the information and actually do something about it as a board? I know it's happening in the school with the administration and the teachers. It would be nice to know how we as a board can support that work. Thanks.
Anybody else? All right, we will move on into education agenda. I think that's next. We did policy, yes. Number 9, there's 10 agenda items under education. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Blundy?
Yes.
Mr. Luisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Stankus?
Yes.
Ms. Steffens?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Blundo?
Yes. All right, under item 10, Human Resources, we have 11 consent agenda items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? I know that we have our about-to-be-appointed assistant principal from Pascack Hills, Derek Bikini, is here.
And we also have Allison's.
And I want to make sure, it's Allison Patachia. Welcome to the district. We look forward to seeing all the great things that you're going to do to help Tim and John keep this place great. So, welcome. Can we have a roll call?
Before we go to a vote,
I'm sorry?
a huge congratulations to Ally. Long overdue.
Any other comments before the vote? Any other discussion? Okay, we'll have a roll call then.
Dr. Blundy?
Yes.
Mr. Luisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Stankus?
Yes.
Ms. Steffens?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Blundo?
Yes. For finance, we have 27 consent agenda items. Is there a roll call?
A motion.
Motion.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Thank you to all the scholarship
Yes.
donations.
Yes, thank you. For everyone who's on this list, is a lot tonight for the scholarships. I don't know, is there, maybe I can read a couple more.
13,750.
Very good. I'm trying to see if there's, okay. I don't have a good list to read them all off, so we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Blundy?
Yes.
Mr. Luisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Stankus?
Yes.
Ms. Steffens?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Blundo?
Yes. Any old business? Is there a report from the Finance Committee?
I don't know, was the chair there?
Who is the chair? I'm not even sure. Anybody that was at the meeting, want to give any updates? Mike or Jim?
I don't really have the agenda in front of me, but we went over a few items. Let's see. One was allocation of funds. Maybe Yasi, fill it in?
Sure. So, sorry about that.
That's all right.
So we discussed the end of the fiscal year, which is coming up. We talked about excess surplus, and we just did the resolutions to approve not to exceed amounts for capital reserve and also for maintenance reserve. So that's something that the auditor will go through at the end of the year. Usually it's sometime in the early fall, and then we usually get the numbers back, and then a decision has to be made as far as how much we want to put into capital reserve, maintenance reserve, and into excess surplus to fund the future budget. So that will be discussed with the Finance Committee again. We also talked about facility use fees. So that's something that we have to add and to revamp, especially about our district staff, like faculty and also our coaches, what the fee would be, and just to have something down in our schedule fee so there's no interpretation, so we know exactly how much they're going to get charged. The last thing was...
I think that was it, just those two.
No, there was one more.
There was one more.
No, space.
Oh, space, yes.
Oh, space.
I could forget that. So our office space at 28 West Grand Avenue, which houses central office, the renewal's up, the lease is up, so we're going to be renewing for the next 5 years. We were able to negotiate something as far as no increase for the next 5 years, so we'll be paying the same amount that we're paying currently. And we're also looking for additional space for Region 2. Region 2 right now is housed at Pascack Hills. Mr. Whelan has a plan when Region 2 vacates that spot, probably sometime at the end of July. And I think, Mr. Whelan, you had mentioned that the technology department will be moving there, and then that will free up a full-size classroom for your use. So again, that space at 28 West Grand Avenue will be housing 4 people from Region 2, as well as we're going to have constructed, it's really just knocking down a wall, a large conference room. A large conference room will be used by the curriculum, instruction, and assessment meetings, as well as Region 2 director meetings, and as well as professional development, as well as the curriculum office led by Alyssa Merritt. We have the 4 sending districts, and then she does a lot of training there, and it'll be able to utilize a large space, and more people can come to these PDs. It also frees up parking space at Pascack Hills, so that's also always a positive. And there, we got the same rate as far as space is concerned for the lease, and the lease would be for 5 years at no increase again for each of the 5 years.
Great.
Thank you, Jonas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome. Any other old business? Any new business? So just a reminder to the board, we're trying to schedule the retreat, and I know Dan circulated
Who hasn't done
a
it?
calendar. If you haven't if you haven't addressed it, please, otherwise we'll send it back here. Also, as Dan and the students alluded to earlier, we are 10 days away from graduation, and at Pascack Valley, it will be at 6 p.m. Again, outside, if the weather allows. Board members that want to attend, please be at the main office at 5:30, and at Hills at 6:30 the same evening. And they don't tell you where they want, do they? I don't know. Tim, where do you want them? Where do they meet?
Up top, we'll have reserved parking spaces for them.
Okay, great. Okay, I've always gone to the Valley, not the Hills, so I don't know how you work it.
You're always welcome to come to Hill.
Maybe I'll switch up this year. I got the shirt for it, the color. Any other new business? Okay, we will open up to the public for one last time on any item at all. Once again, we limit comments for 3 minutes. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the board? Councilman.
Hi, Anthony DeRosa, Councilmember of Hillsdale, liaison to the board. Just want to thank those retirees who you mentioned. Appreciate their service to the community, especially Claudia Gibbs. The Borough of Hillsdale worked with her a lot, and she was just very prompt, pleasure to work with. Always had the right answer, so appreciate that. And then just a reminder, I'm not running, just a public service announcement. There's a primary election tomorrow. Hopefully everybody gets out to vote.
Great.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Okay, we actually need to go into executive session for a very, very brief time on one item, and we will not be taking action afterwards. So again, Hillary and Evan, thank you for your service. Good luck to you in the future. You'll be around, so come and visit us. I'm sure that's what you want to do on your Monday nights. But thank you again for a great year. Okay.
Thank
so
you,
we're
guys.
And then a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Do we want to go upstairs?